Again, there's more. There are still other ways to create outside links to your site. Another way to do that is to find links exchange partner. And you will see when you have a website that you may be receiving at some point some email from people who want to exchange links with you. Well, why do you want to find exchange partner? The search engine are looking all the time at existing websites. And if you have websites that are well ranked pointing to you, consider that a website that has a good ranking is a website that is credible for the search engine. The search engine considers that its content is valuable for these keywords. So if this well-ranked keyword, this credible website is pointing to your website, then it will make your ranking increase. So how do you do that? Well, you need to find sites that are using the same keywords than you. Again, if you exchange link with a site that is doing something completely different, then it's not going to help you at all. If a website that is specialized in raising poultry is linking to a website that is doing WebDev consulting, maybe it will raise the ranking a very little bit, but it's talking about something that is so different that the search engine is going to consider that this link is just not relevant. So you need to find a website with your keywords, and for that you search with your keywords. That's very easy. Of course, you're going to find your competitors, and clearly your competitors are not going to link to your website, so you can already forget those. But you're also going to find some business that are related, which means that they are in the same industry, they're using the same keywords, but it's another niche, another target of customers. And these people may be interested in exchanging links with you, because it will, of course, increase their ranking as well. Also, you should find the websites that are already linking to your competitors. If somebody is referencing my biggest competitor, I want this website to also reference me, or reference me instead. So you could convince them to link to you too, or instead. It's perfectly possible. At that point, you have to select which link exchange partner you want. You may not want all of them for many different reasons. If you find that another website is not somebody that you would recommend to your customer, then don't link to them and don't ask them to link to you. The increase in ranking on the search engine is not worth the fact that you are advising your customer to go to a bad place. So if you consider that the website is not a right place for your customer, do not exchange link with them. Again, it's really common sense, but very often when we're working with this kind of thing, we just forget the basis of all that. It's about your customers. Once you have selected which partner you want to exchange link to, or try at least, you need to find how to contact them, and that most of the time is their email. First, remember that they have a website, therefore their own URL, a domain name, and that domain name is registered, and who is going to give you the information about who owns the URL, and that includes an email that you can use to try to contact them. Also, most of the time on a website there's a way to contact them, to contact the people. It can be an email, or it can be a form on their website, or it can be even a phone number if some people are still using this kind of thing. But there should be something that you can use. Once you found that, you send them a request. That request should present your website, tell who you are, what you're doing, what your website wants to do, and propose an exchange of links. Of course, don't forget that you are sending an unsolicited piece of mail, so it has to be as courteous, well written, and cool as possible. You don't want to aggress them in any way. You don't want to have them read your email and think that you're a fool. You want to make something that really is meaningful. And of course, you should manage their answer or lack thereof. If they are not answering at all, is your email blocked in the spam? Is their answer blocked in the spam? And if they're answering, follow up. Don't wait. If these people are answering you, follow up immediately. You don't want to let the water boil down. Now, remember, you should consider paying the search engine to display your website. I talked to you about that before, but I'm going to insist a second time. The advertisement with the pay-per-click is a good solution to start your referencement. Once you're established and you know that you're easy to find, it's another thing. But when you're starting, you want to generate business now, not in 3 months or when the search engine are finding you. Well, before your rank increase, you should really consider paying for advertisement. This is going to be a few $100 because it's pay-per-click, so it's only when people are seeing your ad and clicking on it that you're paying. So it may be a very good investment. Now there is one last trick to increase the number of links to your site. Use forums, blogs, article sites. It doesn't matter who it belongs to. The only thing that you want is that it's something that is relevant about your business, about your activity, about your profession. So you find forums talking about what you're doing, blogs talking about what you're doing, article sites talking about what you're doing, and you publish information on them about your site. You're saying, okay, these are places that are relevant to me, so I'm sending what is basically a press release to them. These people are talking about what I'm doing, so they will be happy to talk about me and let me talk about me. So you publish information about your site. My new site allows you to do this, that, the other. Okay, that's good. That's one way. And another way is to publish information that is not about your website, but about your activity in general. And of course, you want to do that on something that really match your activity. By example, I very frequently answer on forums about WinDev, WebDev, and WinDev Mobile. I answer to the questions. That gives me two different advantages. First, my future customer are able to see that I can answer to a few questions and that I kind of know what I'm talking about. So that's very good. And second, each time I'm answering a question, I sign my answer. And my signing contains the URL of my website. So each time I'm answering a question, I'm advertising and helping my rank for my search engine. Of course, that is an ongoing work. You cannot just do that for 2 weeks and then stop. If you want to do this kind of thing, it's something that you should allocate time for every week at least. Be careful. There is a scam going around, and as soon as you're going to have a domain name registered with your email, you're going to receive this kind of email. Give me, and there's an amount here, and I guarantee that your website will be in the first 5 or the first 10 of Google or of this or that. So why is it a scam? The first reason is that it's because it's not expensive enough. You saw all the things that are needed in order to do a good job in search engine optimization. There's no way anybody can do that for $3, $4, or $500. There's absolutely no way, and that's about the amount that they're asking in order to hook you up. Now, the second reason, and that's something that you should really carefully consider, is that the search engine criteria for ranking are secret. They are not telling how their algorithm is working, which means that anybody who tells you, I guarantee that your website will be in the first 5, is either a liar or a fool. There's no way you can guarantee this kind of thing. And the reason is really simple. Let's say that you do everything perfectly. You have all the keywords, you have all the links, you have everything, okay? What makes you think that no other website out there, concurrents or people in the same branch of industry, are not in the same case? They don't have the same number of external links, they don't have the same number of keywords inside their website, they don't have the same ones. What can you possibly think? What kind of hypothesis can you have that say nobody else has the same quality of website? Because that's that basically. So there is no way that even the best people in search engine optimization can guarantee you a ranking. It's absolutely not true. Furthermore, let's say that there are 20 different websites doing what you do, and each one of them is paying the, let's say, $500 to the same website to improve their ranking and be in the first 5. How can 20 people be in the first 5? It's not true. At best, you will be in the first 5 for 2 days, and then the other one will pay, and they push it further if they were able to do that. But again, nobody can guarantee you a place anywhere on the first 10. That's not possible. So really, if you receive that from anybody, liar or fool, you choose. Which is why I have a very hard time to sell search engine optimization work to my customers, because I'm not telling them that I can guarantee their thing. Absolutely not. No. I guarantee that I will do the best possible job. I guarantee that your ranking will improve. But that's the end of it. After that, it depends of what the other websites are doing at the same time. You're not the only player. Now remember also that you don't need anybody to do it. You can do it. With the information that I'm giving you today, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that you can do the search engine optimization work on your website. But what you need is time. If you don't want to take it yourself, I could take it for you, but I will bill you, and it's not going to be $500. In order to do the job, just to optimize the content of your website and then to do all the external stuff, you will need several days. I generally count a minimum of 1 week of work in order to do the search engine optimization work on the website. And a week of work is not $500, clearly. So either you do it yourself or you pay somebody to do it, but in that case you pay somebody to do it well. That's the only advice I have for you. Now, another problem with this fabulous scam is that you need several days to do the job, yes, but to wait for the result, it's going to be several weeks most of the time before you see your ranking improving. Why? Well, first, because it's not because you are submitting your website to a search engine that is going to index it immediately. It has other things to do. It's not waiting on you to do something. These search engines are crawling on millions of websites every day. And in order to do that, they have, of course, a huge number of computers, but there is a limit. They cannot just index everything at the same time. Which means that during the time it's going to take for all the different search engines to really scan your website, and the time it's going to take for external links to appear, and the time it's going to take for the search engine to read those external links also, well, it may well take several weeks before you see your website appearing. In fact, when you're creating a website, it may take several weeks before you find it in Google at all. I'm not saying in a good ranking. I'm just finding it. So it's a hard job. It takes quite some time, and you don't see the result immediately, which is really why it's really hard to sell this kind of work. Clearly, on top of needing time, you need tools. Personally, I'm using Web SEO. Again, no kickback for me, but you can use any other search engine optimization tool that you find suitable for your needs. Be careful about one thing. A lot of these tools propose to do changes for you inside your web page. Automatically put the keywords, automatically add the alt tags and all that by just modifying the HTML code. Well, you can't do that with a WebDev site because you don't have HTML code to modify. You have a WebDev page to modify, and the HTML code is going to be generated on the fly. So any tool that you use should be used carefully and just with the option to let you know what you need to do and not do them for you. Now, if you want to do press release, you either need files to send emails yourself, so database with lots of targets where you can select really the people that you want to send that to, and that's not easy to find. Or you need a press release software which has this kind of database in it, or a press release website which has again this kind of database, or just a press release professional who uses whatever he wants to send the emails and does that for you. Of course, all that has a cost. Personally, I'm using a website that's taking a few $100s to send a press release. The price, of course, depends of the size of the target, the number of email that you're sending. And also, in order for that to be done correctly, they need to send the email from your email address. It means that the answer to all of that are going to arrive on your email. So you will end up with several hundred answers arriving on your email with things from everything from this address email doesn't exist anymore, or just okay, we received your thing, or just stop bugging me, or whatever. You have to work with that. It's perfectly normal. Now, the last thing that you may want to have is an advertisement budget. Money. Why? Well, because as I was telling you, it may take several weeks for your website to appear on some search engines, and worse than that, when it appears, it may have a really bad ranking, and if it's on the 5th page, nobody is going to find it. So before a search engine can get you any traffic, any customers, any money coming in, you may need to first pay per click, pay for advertisement on the big search engine in order to start generating traffic to your website before your rank improves. Let's have a look at things from the other side. This will give you a better understanding of what's going on and why you need to do all these things. And for that we're going to talk about the spiders. They're also called crawlers or indexing robots, search engine robots, so they have different names, but basically they're all different names for the same thing. So what are they? Well, it's a piece of software. It can be coming from a website or from a Windows application, Linux application, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is something that is going to read web page and to crawl from one page to the next. For that, it's going to follow the links. It's going to follow also the different meta file and robot files that you put on your website. But it's going basically to go from one page to the next on the web, which is why they're called spiders crawling on the web. So going to follow the links and going to analyze the content. So these things are really the kernel of the search engine optimization problem, because what they are doing and how they are doing it is why you have to do all that. So how they're working? Well, each time they're reading a page, an HTML page, what do they have? Well, they have a page that is made of text. HTML is just text, okay? And in that text you have some formatting, you have some content, and you have some links and different tags that they are going to be analyzed. So first they're going to look at all the displayed word, the content that you display, so that's the text in your article and all this kind of thing. And they are going to index each and every word of each and every page in a database as a full index for future search and display. So you can imagine the size of the database of a search engine like Google. They get in their database each and every word ever published on the web. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. Now they are also going to index all the words that are in your page and that they are not displayed, all the keywords, all the alternative text, all the URLs, all that is going to be indexed too and used not for searching, because clearly if your search engine would display a page based on something that is not visible to the user would not comprehend why it arrives on that page. So it is used, but it is used for the ranking. Of course, in the page you have the content, you have the URLs, and you have all the HTML tags that are going to be used to see exactly what's more important. So that's where the H1 header and the bold and all this kind of thing is important, because if you have things that emphasize the importance of words on the page for the user visibly, then the search engine is going to take that into account. If you insist on something, it's important, the user is going to see that, so the search engine is going to see that too. It's going to look at the links to find new pages to index, and for that is going to look at one specific tag inside your pages, and this tag is called href. It's the tag in HTML language that links to another page. Of course, there are much more to the spiders, much more details, and you can find all that information on the web without any problem, but that's really the basic that you have to understand. Why you have to give so much importance to all those details, because they are working on that. So what is the problem really? Well, the main problem that you have with the spiders is the links, because there are two different types of links. The first type is static. So if you have a link somewhere with an href and a link that looks like that, well, it's a static string. They can read it, they can reference it, they can see that it's about referencing website, okay, and okay, they can see absolutely everything about it. And then you have this type of link, and that, as you can see, is a JavaScript link going somewhere and doing something. Now the problem is that this is not a link that a spider can execute. It's not. It doesn't have the context to execute something like that. Furthermore, it doesn't want to execute it. Is that a link to a page, or is it a link that starts to play Pong? Because if it's playing Pong, that's not what the server wants. That's not what the search engine wants. So it doesn't have any way to know that it is a link doing this or that or the other, so it cannot use it. Which means that all the pages that you can reach only through links of this type cannot be indexed. They will not appear in the search engine. Therefore, and that's where it becomes very, very important, the ranking for your website, for the whole website, depends of the content of the whole website. Even though you have only a link to your main URL on the search engine most of the time, the search engine, in order to establish the ranking of your main URL, is going to look at all your pages. And the more content you have, the more relevant to a subject you become. So the more pages are indexed, and the more your ranking will improve. Now, if you cannot index pages because you have links like this JavaScript link, then you will just not have a good ranking. And that's where the classic mode of WebDev is a problem, because all the links are of JavaScript type. That's one of the problems. What is the problem in WebDev specifically? Well, the classic mode is a problem for search engine optimization, and there are two main reasons for that. The first one is that all the links in classic mode are in JavaScript. This is how they are able to do all these things for you, the session, the this, that, the other. It's all done by code behind the scene. And it means that all the links of your website are going through some code on the browser side before going to the server in order to manage all the fancy stuff without you seeing it. That means that basically all the pages are invisible, except of course the first pages of your website, because clearly your URL, your domain name, is pointing directly to it. So all the pages except the first one in Classic are invisible. Another reason for that, even if you are able to put some static links, if you are able to do that, the session management is going to kill the search engine spider immediately. Why? Well, remember how that works when you start a WebDev Classic session. You end up with this URL, this connect thing, and you have a session ID. Now, if you just stop using the website for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on the setting of your server, and you try to click on something, you will get an error telling you that the session is over, because there is a timeout on the server for the session. Now imagine that you just copy and paste the URL of any page of your website with the session information and everything, and you give it to somebody else, and the next day this somebody else try to put that in his browser and click on it, he will get the error message saying that the session is finished, timed out. And that means that the search engine, which is doing exactly that, taking the URL and trying to let the user click on it on the search result page, would get the exact same error message. So you have two different problems with the classic mode. One is that the links are in JavaScript and make the page invisible, and the second is that all the URL, the possible URL to your separate pages, are dead as soon as the session has timeout. So, of course, even in a classic website, in a website in WebDev Classic, it may be enough that your main page is visible by the search engine, because this one will always be found by the search engine, obviously. Now, you can put on that web page links, static links, to static pages. It's possible. And put in these static pages whatever you need to be referenced. You can even use the SemiDynamic System. That's a system that's available in WebDev, where you can have WebDev generate what would be dynamic pages normally, but instead of generating on the fly with a session and all that, it is in fact in place generating static pages, HTML pages, with the content in it once and for all. So how can you use that? Well, if you have a catalog of product, you could say, okay, I'm going to generate one page for each product and one catalog page where I have a link for each the other one. And all these pages are going to be static and created once when I generate the page. And of course, if I have changes in my catalog of product, I will have to regenerate the page and republish the pages on the server. This is something that is done really once in a while, so it's a solution, but clearly it's not a perfect solution, and it's not something that is dynamic and is going to reflect the content of your database. So it's something that you can use, but it's most of the time not enough. So basically, the only solution that remains for dynamic content to be correctly indexed by the search engine is the AWP mode. I remind you, it is more complex, and there are limitations to the UI and to the behavior of the pages. Some things are just not working the same way for simple technical reason. You don't have a session to work with, so something just cannot work. Now remember, you do not have to do everything with it. It's not because you need to have content indexed by search engine that you need to do everything in AWP. You can mix it up. It is perfectly possible. Now, one problem that you still have is that AWP is not enough. It is not enough to just make a website in AWP mode to have the whole content indexable. There are, even in AWP mode, things to do and things not to do.